Hi, what's up you guys? I hope you all are having a wonderful start to the spring, but I am back and I'm happy to just be chatting with you all again, and I'm hoping that you all are well. Okay, so today I want to talk about a video that is going to align with my Purposeful Living series or pillar on my channel. It's gonna be all about how to find meaning in your life, specifically, during those times when it may be a challenge or when you're feeling disconnected from your purpose, when there's just a lot happening around you that can kind of blur your vision and your overall mission and purpose in your life. I am not in any way an expert at finding your purpose or living a purposeful life or whatever. I don't think there's anyone out there who is an expert at this. I'm really just talking about things that I've discovered and aspects that are helping me on my journey to connect with meaning and my individual purpose. And I think these conversations are really important for, people in the helping profession, other social workers, because we do search for meaning in our lives. I think that's often why we study social work and we go into a field that is about giving back and about helping other people to live their purpose and living out our purpose. So one thing that I want to talk about as far as finding more meaning in life, and this is no surprise for anyone who watches my channel, but connecting with your community and just being involved in your community, I think is a great way to do this. It doesn't have to be you being on a board or, being a part of your local government's committee or anything like that. You don't have to join like a book club in your community. Of course, all this is great, and I definitely recommend it if you have the time and the opportunity to do it, but that's not really how deep it has to be. Doing simple things like taking walks around your neighborhood, taking walks in the local parks, and just saying hello to people who live near you. Being a part of different neighborhood apps and just keeping a pulse on what's going on and engaging in neighborhood apps like Nextdoor or, something like that. And even joining a local gym and just engaging with the people in your community that way, or going to the library. I think going to the library is something that enough people don't take advantage of, but it's a great way to support your local community and also to connect with those who live around you. And that connection really does make you feel more alive. It makes you feel like you're a part of something greater than yourself. And I think that's really important. These days, sometimes we get really wrapped up in social media. We don't really connect and be social with the people around us within a certain mile range. And I think that often is why we feel purposeless and disconnected. So definitely find ways to connect with your local community, whether it's in small ways, like what I just mentioned, or large ways like being actively involved in a nonprofit or being on a board or being on some kind of neighborhood block club committee, something like that. But oftentimes we talk about the importance of self-care, which is, a view that puts too much emphasis on the individual caring for themselves to stay mentally and physically healthy. But in all actuality, it takes a community to be a holistically healthy individual. It takes that social fabric and that social connection to feel whole and to feel completely healthy. So I'm also a big advocate for community care as well as self-care. So community care is relying on those individuals around you to, give you that support and sense of care as well. Really cultivating your friendships is another way to provide you with more meaning and purpose in life as well. Oftentimes we get mad at our friends because they don't show up in the ways that we want them to show up, right? Maybe you wish that your friends would buy you gifts, or you wish your friends would reach out more and invite you to hang out. But do you do that for your friends? So one thing that I've really started to adopt within my friendship circle is giving in a way that I want to receive from my friendships and really leading by example. So I've recently gotten into the habit of writing notes and Christmas cards, birthday cards, and mailing them off using snail mail, because I think that's something that we don't do enough of. I love getting cards and letters in the mail, so why wouldn't I want to treat someone else in that way as well? And even if I don't get a card back or if it's not reciprocated, I don't mind, because I simply get joy from the act of sending these cards to my loved ones. I don't necessarily need it reciprocated. And reaching out to your friends and inviting them to lunch or, to hang out together. And it doesn't have to always be something complicated. One of my friends that lives close to me, we just meet up and go on walks every now and then. So it doesn't have to be money intensive. It doesn't have to be too time intensive. But I think really putting that time into your friendships and cultivating those will make a world of a difference and provide you with more happiness and meaning in your life. Sometimes we think that your romantic relationships are the only relationships that are important, but that's not the case. Of course, I love my fiance and he's also my best friend, but I know that in order for me to have a holistic and fulfilling life, I'm going to need more than my relationship with him. I'm going to need that relationship with my loved ones, my community, and also my friends. And something else I'm trying to do to find and have more meaning in my life is to make the best out of the boring moments in life or the boring days, which honestly, those mundane days are the majority of your life. I used to be one of those people that was really, addicted to traveling because it gave me this big rush and excitement. And I still love to travel. I'll always be a traveler at heart, but it really took me some time. And I think, this recent pandemic helped me with this, but I had to reorganize and restructure how I find meaning and happiness in my life because I could not get a lot of it from traveling anymore. I had to find ways to cultivate happiness in my day-to-day life. And this was a really difficult wake-up call for me. Even to this day, I feel like having that experience living in South Korea for 2 years, traveled to all of these amazing places, in a way, it kind of changed the chemical processing in my mind to where day-to-day life is more difficult to enjoy because I'm comparing my regular mundane lives to those adventurous times that I had traveling and living in different countries. This is a constant battle for me, but I'm just always working on how I can find joy in my day-to-day life because that's really where you're going to get that meaning from. And that's really what's going to count at the end of the day because those mundane days make up the largest percentage of your overall life. Giving yourself small treats or small gifts for getting through those grueling times, or let's say during work, you have to get through those grueling meetings. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm not a fan of a lot of work meetings. It just feels like quicksand. It kind of sucks a lot of the energy out of me. So I give myself little rewards and things to look forward to. And it doesn't have to be that extreme. It can be something small like a cup of hot chocolate, a cup of your favorite tea, or a nice dessert, or whatever, you can imagine. Just having something that can motivate you to get through those times that are not that exciting. And to kind of go into that, I think in order to really appreciate those small treats, it takes for us to be really intentional about the overconsumption that we may be doing to ourselves. So let me kind of, break that down because that may sound confusing. But I think in this society, because everything is so accessible and because we have unlimited access to certain resources such as technology. If you have a phone, you can literally watch endless YouTube videos. You can put Netflix on your phone and just watch constant Netflix videos all the time. If you wanted to, you could listen to podcasts 24 hours a day. Even if you're asleep, you could just keep your favorite podcast playing. And even with food, I think in more rich and developed countries, we have so much access to food. If we're snacking all day, every day, and we're eating a bunch of candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, when we have that dessert at the end of the day, it's not really as special, right? So I think if we are more intentional about what we engage in or what we consume, it can really make the moments when we do consume those things more special and can help us to find more joy in just everyday and mundane life. This is something that I'm constantly fighting against and working on as well. I'm always pushing back on my, need for constant stimulation and constant consumption because it is so readily available. So this is something that you may have to challenge yourself with. Sometimes I get in this mode or this habit where every time I wake up in the morning, I want to just put some kind of content on and play it. I want to listen to a podcast or I want to listen to a YouTube video to help me wake up in the morning. But that then makes these activities less special for me. And also it's the first thing that's shooting at me when I wake up. And when I wake up, I feel that my own thoughts should be the first thing that is on my mind. Of course, I'm a big supporter of listening to podcasts and YouTube videos because I get a lot of creativity and motivation from doing that. But first and foremost, I think I want to be connected to myself and my own belief system and my own thought processes before I'm bombarded with other people's beliefs. I want to be motivated by other people. I want to be inspired by other people. But at the same time, I want to be solid in who I am and what I believe in first. I don't want other people's feelings altering me to the point where I don't have a strong base to stand on. So something else I do to live a more intentional and purposeful life is getting my money and my debts under control. If you are a fellow American like me, I don't think debt is anything that is new to you or something that you're not familiar with. I think a lot of us are familiar with debt because that's kind of how the country runs. And it's very normal, especially if you have some kind of degree, if you have a bachelor's or a master's degree. So thinking back on life before I got my debts and my finances under control, I remember that being a really big part of my life. And honestly, it was like the central aspect of my life. Every time I had to consider certain decisions or think about my future, my debts were kind of haunting me. It was like that unfriendly reminder of the limitations I had. I made a very intentional decision a few years ago to get my student loan debt under control and to start paying it off in a pretty aggressive fashion. And now I'm happy to say that after a lot of sacrifice and a lot of intention, I do have my debts under control. I no longer have to dream about my future with the idea of my debts hanging over me. Debt has this weird way of becoming a part of your identity. It can literally be a deciding factor in what career path you take or what jobs you take. For example, there is this program by the government to where, like, if you work certain nonprofit jobs or certain human service focused jobs for 10 years, you can then qualify to get your debts paid off. But you know, the idea of choosing a certain kind of job simply so my debts can be taken care of, it just doesn't sit well with me. I think for some people, these kind of loan relief programs can be a perfect fit because maybe the jobs that you want already align with the jobs that you could get your debt paid off from working. But for me, that wasn't the case. So where I'm trying to get at with this point is that getting control over your finances can make it to where you can have more mobility in your life, more freedom, and more opportunities to craft your life in a way that is meaningful to you. So even if you take a very small step towards, reaching that goal of financial freedom and getting your debts under control, it's really worth it. And the sooner you start, the sooner you can get to the other side. I think it's all about just taking control over your life, having that basic level of financial awareness and financial control to where you can start to make moves in your life that are for the betterment of you and allow you to connect with your meaning. I recently got into hiking and outdoor walking, and it's something that gives me purpose and it makes me feel connected to myself. It makes me feel more connected to nature. I just feel overall more energized. And after really getting into this activity, really taking this on as a new hobby, I learned that I didn't really have all the proper gear to fully enjoy the activity of hiking. Particularly, I didn't have the right shoes. I started doing research on hiking boots and hiking shoes that can really help me to maximize this hobby. I found that, most of the shoes were over $100, over $150. So if I think back on a few years ago when I was financially in a bit of a mess, I probably would have had to say no to even buying those hiking shoes. And now with those shoes and with other hiking gear that I purchased, I can really take advantage of that new hobby that I now have. So that's just one example. Also, I told you I like to travel, so getting opportunities every now and then to go to a new state or even a new country when, I'm blessed to be able to do that, that takes having your finances in order and being able to afford doing those activities. We want to live a life that is full of meaning, intentionally unique, and intentionally crafted by us so that we can fulfill our destinies during this time that we all have on this planet. So hopefully this video inspired you all. If you have any other comments and if you have any ideas on how we can all practice living life with more meaning, please leave it in the comment section below. I love these conversations and I hope to talk to you all very soon. See you later. Bye-bye.